Let's get up for Matt one more time. Thank you. So Matt being our keynote speaker, we have a little bit of extra time with him to go into some questions. I have some prepared. If you have a burning question, I will turn it to the audience in a moment. So first and foremost, thank you, brother, for that.
Thanks for having me.
And what I noticed was this layer of a moody Matt growing up.
Yeah.
And now you have this very successful podcast called The Mood. What's the relation?
When I started out, my photography style was always described as moody, very dramatic.
How did that feel?
I was drawn to the drama of a still image. I wanted to make it as dramatic and as moody as possible. And so it just felt natural that the Mood podcast was, a good name. And so I tailor a lot of the conversations about this, about mindfulness, mindset, not about technique, gear, tips and tricks, just about what mood are you in today? What mood do you shoot with? How mindful of that are you?
I love this.
Yeah.
And I've seen some of your photographs, and they're just like it's like this empty space is just being held within them somehow. You do capture this mood. You also do photography mentorship.
Yeah.
So tell me, what does this look like?
Well, everyone's different, right? Every photographer in this world, or budding photographer, is different. I created a mentorship purely based around the fact that when I was learning, there wasn't YouTube. I couldn't find a mentor that I could really grab onto, that I got on well with. It was all very transactional. It was 5, 1-hour calls for this much. I wanted someone to hold my hand. Really wanted someone to grow with me, to teach me everything. I wanted that instance of a photography workshop for life, right? Those little light bulb moments. What did you do when you were having this problem? Because just like everything else in life, there's always hurdles. There's always, I can't get this. I don't know why I can't take photos like this, or how to get clients, or how to make a business out of it. So it was really born from what I knew I didn't know, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to give back in that way, in a way to any photographers in the room. I think we've got a couple. It's difficult to make money as a photographer. To work for other clients. Not only are you sacrificing your creative freedom, they generally don't pay that well anymore unless you're like top of the game. So there was that. I wanted to somehow monetize, my skill set, but it was really born out of scarcity. I still don't see any other mentors that have a very close, long-term relationship with their clients, I guess. And so, I wanted to build something that really filled that gap.
Mongolia moment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I wanted someone to hug me.
Yeah.
Yeah, hug me through the journey.
Absolutely.
The classic version of a mentorship, but it's not really there in the photography and filmmaking world, not that I know of, or that I saw. So.
And do you also, does that translate to other creative passions as well? Is your mentorship solely for photography, or does it expand to, say, painting or dancing or any other creative form?
I wouldn't like to say that I'm qualified to kind of be a mentor in that space. I think more of a consultant, maybe, certainly when it comes to putting portfolios together, branding, which is, ironically, a lot of artists in this world are just really bad at branding, in self-branding. And the business side of it, that, most of the questions I get and, inquiries are all about, I want to start making money from this. So in that respect, yes, but really my mentorship is about photography. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right, I have a burning question that I want to know. So you've been a pilot for over a decade, and over 2 decades.
2 decades.
Wow. Okay. So over 2 decades, what does it feel like to go onto a plane that you're not flying? Is that weird?
Which class am I in?
Are you like the pilots and like looking for some badge or something, like what goes through your head, or are you just like whatever?
Look, if I'm in economy, my wife here, she knows how I suffer that, just being long-legged, and if it's more than a few hours, I struggle. In terms of comfort level.
Yeah.
And then that plays into my mind. So, I don't have any sleep. I'm not comfortable. And then I start noticing things about the flight, right?
Yeah.
What are these guys doing up there? Right. So look, I know that world so well.
Yeah.
I'm very, very, very comfortable. However, there are some airlines that I avoid.
Yeah.
Just because I know what goes on.
Yeah. Okay. Something.
So you can find out.
Great.
It's got to pay me a bit of money.
We're not going to announce it here. Question for the audience. Yes.
Do you have a picture that makes your heart beat 55,000 miles an hour?
Yeah,
Will you show us?
it's here. So the reason I got this is because this was shortly after that workshop, and a lot of things clicked for me then. But this, yeah, didn't even know I did that. It clicked. Yeah. It exposed a lot of, yeah.
It really developed.
Yeah. Okay, we could go up.
Oh man,
Oh,
completely unscripted, guy.
yeah.
Oh god.
Just trying to think of some more. No.
Yeah.
You in the dark. Yeah.
There we go.
This is not my best photo ever, in any stretch of the imagination. But it was the one moment I was on my own and not on a workshop with teachers or clients. You know, I was just literally on my own in the middle of Uganda, just trying to figure out this craft. Just, you know, it's obviously one of the best ways is just go and do it, try it yourself until you fail, and then find something that clicks. And this was a moment. I went back to visit her a few years later, but it was because I felt such a strong connection with her, and it was all from me. But it was a young girl of 8 years old who had absolutely nothing in life, and I'm this big white guy coming in with this expensive equipment. It just felt complete. There's a lot of ethical boundaries there and ethical responsibilities that I talk also a lot about with photography, and what am I doing coming into their space and just shoving camera in the face? And so there's kind of a lot of narrative behind it, just self-talk. Where do I want to belong? What do I find meaningful here? Am I just one of these tourist photographers that come in, snap, take, and leave, right? And I didn't want to ever do that. So there was a part of that behind this image, but just the experience itself, the connection with her I had, that was indescribable, really. That technically a lot of things came together, but also emotionally, this is what I want to do with my life. So yeah.
Beautiful. We'll do one last one from the audience.
Cancer stage, what's going on?
Yeah, I used it in my story because it really did shift a mindset for me at an early age. And I was very emotionally unintelligent at the time. I didn't really know what was going on. So I had no idea how to process a cancer diagnosis. It was testicular. So it was I don't want to downplay it, but it was very curable. I didn't know that at the time, obviously, but in retrospect, I had no idea what was going on. I had no idea what was going on. A few years later, absolutely fine, in remission, no problem. But looking back on it, I learned a lot more lessons 10 years later, looking back on it, than I did at the time. And this is why, at the time I rebelled. It was just like, say yes to anything, fuck everything else. So it did change me initially, I think for the worse, but now I can garner so many lessons from that. And that's, it really was an important part of my life. Yeah.
Beautiful. All right, let's receive a breath. Matt, thank you so much for this exposure to your life.
You're waiting for this. Is he thinking of that? The last step. Round of applause as well.
Yeah, I know, right? Curious if any final words of wisdom that you want to share before we conclude.
No, I'm blown away at how much I've been inspired just by the speakers that we've had already, including yourself. So I hope everyone's taking notes for what's coming up, because I know some incredible talks we've got coming up. So thanks for listening. Really appreciate it.
Beautiful. And also,